How's everybody doing? Here we have a 1968 1050 bolens with a 670 Predator motor. I just want to talk about how I put this motor on this machine and how easy it was to do. Now, I don't know if you guys can see, but when I bolted the motor on, basically, I put threaded rod through this casting up here and just put a nut underneath and some washers to make up for the spacing. Then back here I used one of the original engine mounting holes, and I used a generator starter bracket or something I had laying around anyway, don't really matter. But I used a piece of steel right here and basically put a bolt under here and bolted it down that way. Now, the reason I couldn't just bolt this motor up to this original hole is you can see the distance between there and there. Now on the original 10 horsepower, it was flat right here, so I had to move the engine up to make up for that. And also the crankshafts on these motors have a collar. It's about like that. The original crankshaft was just flat. It went all the way to the back of the motor, so I done it like that, and you can see it worked out pretty good. I bolted the shroud piece to the back of the engine just like the 10 horsepower was. Put the battery back in the original spot. Exhaust, you can see I just put 2 go-kart mufflers on it pretty much. Everything else worked out pretty good, and it's been holding up pretty well. I've been cutting with it for going on 4 years now. So these old motors are actually pretty nice. And another thing I did, I put the gas tank under the seat. If you're wondering how I did that, I basically made a bracket and done away with that spring, and I put the original 10 horsepower fuel tank that was on the 10 horsepower motor. That would have been like right in this area. New. So it wasn't too bad. I was actually able to do this fairly simple. And I just basically used the 670 harness that they give you that was on the side of the engine, and just lengthened everything and moved it up here on the little dash. But like I said, this thing works pretty good. Like, I haven't had any issues with that gearbox down there. I mean, it does go through these belts, as you can see. It needs one right now, and I've been having this issue. I just can't never get the right sized belts. Seems like they keep jumping off. But got one that still pulls good. I just switch them out every now and then. But other than that, it's worked out pretty good. And it is pretty close to here, but I haven't had any heating issues, like overheating. And another thing that I did, instead of cutting a big hole in my hood, I just raised the hood up and moved the hinge out. You can see right there. Because I really didn't want to cut my hood up. It's kind of a nice hood. And I think you could do the same thing with a 13 horsepower that Harbor Freight sells. But I don't know if I would do that, because I think you're going to have to cut the hood. Either that or change the air cleaner and the exhaust. But I mean, this was pretty easy, other than the fact of having to relocate the gas tank. That's the only downside, having to relocate that gas tank. But it works. I can cut for about an hour and a half with this thing before it runs out of gas. So that's not too bad. Well, I just wanted to show you all this because I couldn't find anybody doing this on YouTube anywhere. Well, I hope this was helpful for somebody. If it's not, please let me know and I'll make a follow-up video on this. Y'all take it easy. Bye.